Welcome back, everybody. Time for some more End of a New Beginning as I play through the United States on this great mod for Hearts of Iron 4. It is 1876. We'll probably try to get through the next couple of years. If you haven't seen everything that's happened up to this point, there's a link in the description that will take you back through the first several episodes. And I want to let you know that I have heard, you have spoken. The overwhelming majority of the comments that I received were negative toward the idea of taking the U.S. down the road of an absolute monarchy, a despotism. You like the idea of staying democracy. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to start moving back. I'd only made a few kind of small steps toward that. So we'll start kind of moving back toward democracy, and I want to do that by first re-granting the right to vote. So we're going to do that in a couple of steps because that'll allow me to build up some political stability in the process. So the first one is Parliament's going to vote on giving property owners the vote, and it looks like that's going to overwhelmingly pass, so I don't even need to do anything to make that happen. We'll take that another step soon after. That doesn't mean, though, that just because I'm a democracy doesn't mean I can't still pursue imperialism, so I am going to do that. And right now, I'm looking to gobble up Venezuela because of the oil that they produce. And that's going to put me right on the border with one of the top world powers in the Brazilian Republic. Let's take a look at the ledger. You can see now our top 8 here. The great powers are always the top 8, I think is how it typically does that. So we've got the U.S. number 1, followed by the U.K., the Ottoman Empire, France, Germany, Brazil, Russia, and Italy. So obviously Brazil is the only other world power in the Western Hemisphere that I really have to contend with. By Western Hemisphere, I'm talking about the Americas, because I get that the Western Hemisphere technically includes Ireland, Spain, part of France, the UK, etc. But I'm really just talking about the Americas, I guess is how I should clarify that. So we're going to get the right to vote, and we're going to continue pushing on with our naval research, especially where it comes to naval doctrine, because that is going to be the next major war. So there it is, overwhelming vote passage, 166 to 90. Doesn't look like we gained any more political stability. I don't know if 3 is the highest we can go. So I'll probably wait until after I declare war on Venezuela to pursue further changes. And what's this here? We got a long way to go on upgrades, so I should really be upgrading all of my equipment right now. Death in the workplace. Right now I need the legislative power. An heir is found after desperately looking for anyone with a valid enough claim. Not going to matter if we go back to democracy. Rejoice, United States of America. So kind of irrelevant at this point, because we're not going to continue down the path of that. So right here we can abolish the hereditary system, disinherit our heir, gather war support. So it's going to cost us 100 to make that decision. Maybe we can just make it happen on our own. So let's look at infrastructure for a minute, because I'm starting to see, you can see here we're building up infrastructure. New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio will all be maxed out. I'm just looking where else we're in a good position to kind of build that up. I want to try to at least get everybody up to 5 where possible. And that should all go pretty quickly. Infrastructure is a good way to kind of build up what you're producing as well. So I'm looking for places that produce a lot of things that I need. That's not going to make a big difference there. Down here, we've got things like places like Honduras and Nicaragua that are producing things that I desperately need. But even adding a ton of infrastructure isn't really helping there. So I guess I'll have to kind of be a little more selective in that. But I'm going to need supplies flowing down through here, especially if we end up going to war with Brazil. So I am going to make sure I at least get 5 infrastructure going in all of these places, going all the way back through. So one thing I've realized as I'm looking at this, usually infrastructure doesn't cost this much, but it must be the era that we're in. Infrastructure costs $25,000, which is actually more than it costs to build a civilian factory, which is $18,000. So it seems to me it makes way more sense for me to be building civilian factories before I build the infrastructure, because then I'm going to be able to build the infrastructure that much faster, and I can actually make civilian factories happen faster than I can make infrastructure happen in the first place. So we're going to start focusing on that a little more, because every one of those factories is going to give me that much more ability to build infrastructure faster. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm really looking now for research that's going to help ramp up how fast I can build some of this stuff, because I really want to build myself into just a dominant world power industrially. So construction speed bonus 5%. It only takes 85 days to research imperialism. So we're going to do that. And we're also working on thermal power station 1, which gives us a bonus to construction speed. Chemistry is going to give us a bonus to research speed. And then here, I think we're working on naval doctrine right now. I've got a bit of a problem when it comes to importing fabric, and there's no real good place to import it from because nobody has a lot of it at the moment. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and construct a textile mill, and that'll give me +8 fabric, but it'll cost me -4 cotton. But that's not a huge deal, because I've got a surplus of cotton right now. So, and then let's go ahead and push that all the way to the front. It's going to take, how much does that take? Only 6,000 to build a textile mill. So that's probably another easy way to free up factories, because if I very quickly build this textile mill, and you can see how quickly I can build it, that frees up one factory I don't have to waste on trading for fabric anymore. Okay, so we've completed our justification for our war on Venezuela. So we're going to go for their oil now. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, since we are certainly at a disadvantage when it comes to supply down here. Did I not actually give them an order? I may not have given an order for where to attack. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, now go, Meade. All right, looks like it's going to go pretty well. I was a little nervous because of the supply issue, but I guess that's not going to matter too much if he doesn't have a significant army, and he definitely doesn't appear to. Yeah, we should be fine. Already, 272 is the number of casualties. We've inflicted 7,000. That's going to happen pretty fast. Probably as soon as we take Caracas, actually. All right, we've got some free dockyards now. Problem is I can't really build anything good with the dockyards yet. Politicians question the government. That's okay. Opposition returns. Well, that's because we went from 3 political stability down to 2. But once we finish off Venezuela, we'll go ahead and get into the voting again, and we'll raise that right back up. All right, we're on the doorstep of Caracas now. Let's go ahead and see if that'll be enough to finish this off. You can see overall we've lost 1,300. We've inflicted 25,000 casualties. It's been a pretty one-sided effort. And there it is. Taking Caracas was enough to go ahead and finish this off. So what I want to do now is, now that I've taken that, I want to look at the overall situation with trade and see exactly where I'm at with my surplus goods. You can see here now, we're extracting 67 oil. We're exporting 50 of it. We're extracting 65 aluminum, exporting 49. We've got a surplus of pretty much everything. Tungsten, steel. We're going to need a lot more steel than that once we get into the era where we're building a lot of pretty heavy-duty naval ships out of steel. Fabric's still an issue, but I've got more fabric on the way. We're working on... I didn't realize I was still importing any. I don't want to import any of that. So I've got 2 more factories going. I'll show you the surplus of cotton that we have. Right here you can see we've got a surplus of 93 right now. So I could produce several more textile mills, because each one of those is a -4 to cotton but a +8 to fabric. So I'm actually probably going to go ahead and queue up even still another one on top of the 2 that I'm working on. Let's go ahead and queue up another one there in Ohio. That'll give me 3 more, and that'll give me a little bit of a surplus of fabric. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at reforms. And we'll go ahead and move toward universal suffrage now. And that'll get us back up to 3, assuming that it's going to pass. So let's take a look at that. and see where we're going to be on that vote. 111. We don't have enough. Somebody told me in the comments that making speeches is the best way to get a change in the vote. So let's go ahead and see what that does. We've got 111 right now. I'd say we want to get that number to at least 140 to be safe. So we'll see in 3 days how many of that amount we get from a speech. Okay, so we gained 11 votes. That is not enough. Let's see, who is it that we need to move on this issue? The traditional conservatives and the radical Democrats right now. So let's talk to the traditional conservatives and see if that does it. You can see now our population's up to 74.5 million people, which is crazy high compared to where the U.S. was historically. But that's, a lot of that has to do with the growth policies that I've put in place. And I don't know what negatives there are to that. There may be some negatives, so I may have to take a look at slowing that down a little bit. Okay, that got us to 127. That's really not enough. Let's make another speech. So we've got a decent stockpile of legislative power right now because I haven't spent any for a while. We're going to make a speech, and that's going to bring us right down to the wire on this thing. We've got, like I said, I'd really like to get that closer to 140. Let's see. That got us to 134. I don't know that that's going to be enough. This is going to be a super close vote, and I think we may lose it. 3 days. Because usually I overestimate. $134. Oh, okay. We were dead on that time. 134 is exactly what we got. So that gets us back up to the 3 on political stability. So I'm going to go ahead and switch my continuous focus now over to fund the civilian industry. That's going to give me a 10% bonus to all of my construction speed. I want to look now at trade, and you can see now that we are getting really close to being self-sufficient when it comes to fabric. Where our construction's at, and you can see we've still got a number of textile factories that we're working on. The next one should make me self-sufficient in terms of fabric, but now we're going to be building these a little bit faster. Actually, these are civilian factories, aren't they? Yeah, we still need one more textile mill. Let's go ahead and put one in New York, but that's good. We need those civilian factories too. So as I mentioned earlier, I want to take a look at how some of these policies actually affect things. Right now we are at population growth encouraged. That's a plus 15 to population and a minus 5 to legislative power gain and a 5% consumer goods factories. That goes significantly higher if we go to enforced. Yeah, I think we'll probably keep that there for now. What about open borders? Open borders hurt my stability and research speed, but give me a bonus to population growth. I think the population growth is probably pretty good at the moment, to where I might go ahead and make a change over to border control. So we'll actually lose a little population that way, or at least lose the bonus that we're getting from that. But we will gain on research speed and stability. So I think we're going to switch to border control. Let's take a look at what else. Conscription is hurting my factory output, and I've got plenty of manpower, so I think we'll make a change there too. And we'll get rid of the conscription law. So let's go ahead. Border laws first. We're going to switch to border control. Let's vote for that reform if we can. Although there's no bonus I'm going to get from it, it's still better than spending those points and losing some stability. We've got plenty of votes, 175 for that. While we're waiting for that vote to pass, there's something else I want to look at. We want to advance to the machine era as quickly as possible after we hit 1880. But in order to do that, we've got to have researched petrol engine, stainless steel, microbiology, and early power station. So I want to look at the research trees and make sure that we're working on those things. So I've got to find where they are. Petrol engine, stainless steel, microbiology, and early power station. So where are those things is the question. I don't see, unless I've already, oh, there's petrol combustion engine, internal combustion engine. So I don't know if I've already researched some of these things, or if they're kind of far back still, or if I have to be that far ahead on some of these things. So I don't see the petrol engine. I would expect it to be somewhere in here, though. But let's go ahead and look at some of these other ones. You can kind of see all of the things. I love the detail that they've put into all these research items, because they made them as historically accurate as possible, thinking about the things that are coming in terms of technology. But I don't see a lot of these things that we're supposed to be researching. So either they're already been researched a while ago, or they're that far in the future. I would guess they've probably been things that we've already researched. So I'll look around for those a little bit longer. There's microbiology right there. We've already done that one, so we know we're good on that one. We actually just finished early power station, so that one's done. So I feel like maybe we're okay, because it looks like these are 1870 technologies that we have to have. So let's look here for the other two. All right, petrol engine's right here. That's an 1875 technology, so we're going to work on that one. And that leaves just stainless steel, which may have been something. Oh, we did. So actually, we're going to be well ahead. We're going to be, in another couple of months, we will have everything we need to move on to the machine era. We just have to wait until 1880. Okay, the Controlled Border Act of 1878 has passed. That's going to bring us to our next voting maneuver, which is, I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's we're going to change the conscription law. So let's go ahead and do that. We definitely don't need the manpower right now. I think we've got more than enough to make things happen. Where are conscription laws? I can't find them. Oh, it shows up under mobilization laws that way. So that's why. So we're going to go to volunteer only. Let's vote on that. I have a feeling that one should pass pretty easily. 140. So let's go ahead and just at least give one speech, just to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer on that. Okay, so let's see what that does. We're at 140 right now. That gets us to 152. That should be safe for us. Let's look at construction now. We're still working on some more of these civilian factories. We were at only 18 civilian factories that were working on things. You can see now we're up to 23. And with every one of these ones coming into being, that gives us another civilian factory that's going to help us build things. So it's kind of an exponential growth factor. Every civilian factory that you build becomes one more that's building other things. That said, look at the growth of the German Empire. They're at 115 factories now and 121 divisions, a significantly larger army. The UK still has 6 more ships than I do. France has got 157. I've got the greater population among these top world powers until you get down to Russia with 143 million people. But otherwise, we're double the power of any other world power right now. All right, I think it's time to go ahead and start thinking about the work hour situation, because we're getting a lot of things about deaths in the workplace, safety, etc. Let's start with dropping down to a 10-hour workday, and we'll see how that affects things. Looks like we're going to have the votes to pass that, so no issues there. We're working on some more air technology. I want to go ahead and switch gears, though, and look at where we are in artillery. 200-pounder Parrott rifle. Good night. Yeah, let's get one of those. So looking at no workday limits where we're at right now, we can kind of see how that affects things. It hurts research speed. It hurts monthly population. Hurts legislative power gain. Dropping down to a 12-hour workday gives bonuses to most of those things. Obviously, it hurts production, but it helps kind of everything else. So especially that 5% research speed thing, that's kind of really helpful to be able to change that. The other thing we need to do is we need to start legalizing political parties once again. All right, we passed that. Excellent news. So we're making some pretty massive reforms right now. But let's go ahead and get to freedom of assembly. No, that's not where it is. We still have free assembly. Where is the political party? Man, I can never find where some of these things are. Press, education, religion. Okay, here it is over here. Political parties. We're going to go all the way up to open politics. I don't know if we'll be able to get a vote on that, something that extreme, to pass. Oh, 171. I guess we're good. Who would have thunk? Politicians voting to allow political parties. Okay, so I want to see if we can actually get some elections going here. Right now, we're a radical democracy, and so any elections are by event. So I don't know if we can actually trigger an election based on that, but I'd really like to be able to. So let's click on this once and see what happens. Because last time I did that, it just took away my legislative PowerPoints, but didn't actually allow me to trigger an election. It seems like that's still the case here. Disinherit our heir. Abolish the hereditary system. Let's see if those things help. So we're going to do something else here. We have the option now to hold a World's Fair. It says this will cost a significant amount of legislative power and money, but will reward us with international recognition and prestige. All right, let's do it. We've got a ton of legislative PowerPoints at the moment, so let's look at the ledger here and see our power projection. We were double the UK. We've actually improved on that. The German Empire has now moved up to third, and you can see why that would be a growing threat to the UK and France moving forward. Russia's actually dropped to 8th. Kingdom of Italy's moved up to 7th. So interesting things happening around the world. Germany's still got 24 more factories than I do and 55 more divisions than I do. But I now have the #1 naval power in the world. So that's kind of interesting. All right, so we're into January of 1879 now. I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up right there for this episode. I'm trying to get these episodes out to you guys as fast as I can. A lot of you are saying, man, I wish I could do this every day. But as I've explained before, with Hearts of Iron 4, because of the nature of the game, where I'm kind of just showing you the highlights with a lot of downtime simming in between, even a 20 or 25-minute episode takes me about 2 to 2.5 hours to record. So it's kind of difficult for me to get them out as fast to you as I can, but I'm trying to do that. It just might mean the episodes are a little shorter. But let me know your thoughts about what we're doing and the direction we're going and what you think should happen next. Use that comment section below. Drop me a like if you would, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you again soon with another episode.